So welcome YouTube to Rest of Designs, and we're back in Portugal and we're back on the VWs. The BMW is going to take a back seat for a few weeks because I've got so much to do. I've got the open air mk4 TDI project that needs to get finished, and I've got my daily that needs loads and loads of work. So today we're on the daily. This car, as I bought it, had loads and loads of broken bits, as they are the mk4s, but this seems to have an extended load of broken bits on it, which is cool, gives me content and gives me loads of stuff. I've got loads of stock of a few cars that are broken to kind of get on these. Some of the bits unfortunately are left-hand drive, and then some of the bits that I have are actually right-hand drive, and left-hand drive bits I can source those from the scrapyard. There's quite a few of these in the scrapyard here in Portugal at the moment. So getting on with what I'm going to do today. When I fit this H&R coilover kit, obviously it's for hatch, not for estate, but I've never had the rear the way I wanted it. As you can see here, there's no weight in the car, but it's just got this reverse rake kind of going on. Sorry, I haven't cleaned the car in a few weeks. And the springs, the platforms are actually turned all the way up. They won't actually go up anymore. The shock is very short on this H&R kit. Short to the point where there's very little droop when you jack the car up, and actually turning the adjuster all the way up and beyond has actually really compressed the spring, or the progressive bit of the spring, so it's really hard as well. And you can tell you've gone kind of too low on these mk4 Golfs when the wheel's off center, because as you go lower, obviously with the rear beam, the wheel actually goes in this direction, and it's actually the gap on this side is smaller than the gap there. So I know I've gone too low already, and like I said, it's just sitting on its arse. It's reverse rake. I don't want that. So what I've got is, what I brought with me is my suspension kit off my track car, which are Gaz coilover, Gaz Gold adjustables. I've got 300-pound springs and I've got 350 poundage springs to fit on the rear. I think they're 8-inch long ones. So with adjustable platforms, so then I can actually dial in the height as I need to, if it comes to it. And also, as I'm on the rear here, I've also got a set of 256 vented calipers, carrier and discs to fit onto the rear as well as loads of little bits to fix. I've got operated speakers for the front. I'm going to try and fix this door lock, the solenoid, the micro switch, because it keeps on opening and closing as you're driving when you go below a certain speed, and then when you go over a certain speed again, as well as replace a few little trim bits and stuff. So that'll be in today's video. So let's see how this works out. Let's get back to the workshop. So back in the workshop. It's good to be back. I missed my workshop and all my bits and pieces. Okay, so let's get back onto this. So we're just going to jack this up. But beforehand, look, there's the hockey pucks that came off the 30 Project Donuts. They're going to come in handy. So this is what I was referring to. As you can see, this is the progressive bit of the spring, which is meant to actually compress to a point, especially when the weight of the car's on. But as you can see, it's already fully compressed, and all that's left are these two little coils left, which are the progressive ones. So I'm wondering, obviously maybe, let me turn the light on, if the spring got damaged when I put all that weight in Beat Brexit. If you haven't seen that, it's worth watching the video. It should be here, where I loaded the car up and it was really sitting down, so maybe I damaged the springs there. Or also maybe just it's not built for the extra weight of having the wagon, just for the hatch. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not even going to waste my time messing around and testing the height with the shock on. I'm just going to remove the springs and put on the fixed rate springs that I have. So I think I'm going to start off with the 300-pound springs, not the 350s. So as you can see, this is them side by side. They're almost the same height. Only difference being, this is a fixed rate. This is a progressive spring. So basically these kind of compress, and as it gets down, it gets stiffer to here in the middle, I think, more or less. I'm hoping I can keep the original H&R adjustable platform, because it's really, really cool. As you can see, it's got like a little screw at the bottom, and it makes life so much easier. But I'm not sure if this is actually going to be the same size here at the bottom. I doubt it very much. If it is, it'd be amazing, because then it just means I can actually literally fine tune it very, very easily without having to take the spring off, or jack it up and take the wheel off and stuff. So I've got the old bits here on the bench. As you can see, those are the single discs, the 239 solid ones. Also, when you're doing the vented, unfortunately, unless you actually get the backing plate, you also need to actually trim off this little bit off the backing plate to clear the disc, because it just won't do. And obviously these are the caliper carriers. The calipers are on there. I'm just waiting for the vented ones to actually to dry. I had rubbed them down and gave them a paint, as well as I've cleaned this off, given the carrier as well as a clean, and also gave the shocks a rub down. And the spray, I'd never put on stuff, if I can, dirty. I like to put all stuff at least cleaned, and then actually sprayed if possible. All right, so that's all bolted on and bled up and all painted and cleaned, as was the shock, as I've just said. And the spring, I'm quite really happy that I've been able to keep the H&R adjustable platform at the bottom. So there's a moment of truth. Let's put on the BBS 504s and let's see if the height is where I need it to. Okay, so that's the rear done. Had to adjust it once. It sits perfectly. I'm happy with it now. The wheel's centered and it's level and no more reverse rake. I'll show you guys later on in the video at the end. So now let's move on to the actual plastic bits that need to be changed, the handle, the bits of trim and all the rest of the speakers, and a few other little bits that I sourced for it while I was in the UK. So let's jump onto those little tedious small bits, but they need to be done. So let's move on to those now. Okay, so these are some of the bits I'm gonna fit on today. So that's actually broken on the passenger side. The handle, I'm gonna fit all of that stuff that I brought as well. Also the sunglasses holder as well, I'm going to fit that on. These speakers to replace those little poor pioneers that are there, and also the door lock, because the solenoid switch, and it keeps on kind of clicking up and down like I said before. So got the handle done, so now I can pull the door safely and it won't come off in my hand. Also uprated the speakers and also did the lock, so it doesn't open and click. Also, I've got put this on, which I had from my track car, believe it or not. So that's pretty cool. I can put my sunglasses up in there. Also sort out the little trim that was missing there, and those speakers. So we've done quite a few bits today on the car. And let's check out the height now. So there you go, look, perfectly raked, perfectly there, look. Exactly the same height front to back. Quite happy with that. It looks a lot better. It looks more OEM plus, and the wheel's more centered, which is what I liked as well. I didn't want to have the car so low, it needs to be usable still. So I've kind of covered the bases now. So to recap, on the front I've got H&R coilovers, shocks and springs, 312mm discs and calipers, Powerflex bushes in the lower arms. The rear beam, I still haven't done the Powerflex bushes. It's running gas adjustable shocks, as well as 300 pounds 7-inch springs, and it's running the 256 vented rear calipers and carriers off a Leon Cooper R, because I think the caliper carrier on the TT's one, they sit slightly higher. So this is off sometimes you need actually to use a longer handbrake cable, but this runs a standard from the Leon Cooper R. Rear, again, that's off my track car, those bits and pieces. So this is as it stands for the moment. All right, YouTube, so we've come to the end of another video on Project Wagon R. I think it's been about 2 episodes so far. This is the 3rd one. It's moving forward nicely, it's progressing. I'm really happy now. I've got the ride height spot on. It looks a lot better, as well as it actually rides a lot better because it wasn't so compressed on the back. And also with the actual reverse rake, you're actually pushing more weight onto the back as well. So the springs actually compounded even more and made the ride really quite harsh when you went over a speed bump and stuff at the rear. So it handles a lot nicer, and also I've got the adjustability of the shocks. So when I do a track day, I can actually wind it up. But there's a hell of a long way to go before this sees a track. Tyres to be uprated, the engine conversion and gearbox to be done on this as well. There's quite a few bits still to be done on this, because my target for this is going to be about 200-ish, 220 once it's all done. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, ding-a-ling-a-ling, click on the notification bell, and be safe.